Less than 2% of the people on the planet are born with type 1 diabetes or sickle cell anemia or Tay-Sachs disease. The other 99 to 98% is created by lifestyle. I watch people go from philosopher to initiate to master. I watch people go from knowledge to experience to wisdom. I witness people to go from mind to body to soul, to thinking to doing to being, to learning it with their head, applying it with their hands, and knowing it by heart. And what's happening now is that people love the information, but to get them to actually do something with it, there was this kind of general resistance to doing something with it. Well, now people want to give their time to instruction, to learn how to apply it, to learn how to take that philosophical, theoretical, scientific knowledge and personalize it, to demonstrate it, to initiate it in some way, to modify their behaviors and do something differently. And getting them to get their behaviors to match their intentions creates a new experience. And experience then is one of the things that enriches circuitry in the brain. It literally changes. I mean, learning is making connections, but experience is enriching those connections. And the side effect of a change in the circuitry in the brain when in the midst of an experience, that we begin to feel an emotion. And the emotion is the payoff from the experience. When you feel unlimited, when you feel gratitude, when you feel whole, when you feel in love with life, now you're teaching your body chemically to understand what your mind has intellectually understood. Now you're embodying the truth of that knowledge. The knowledge is actually making it into your genes. It's making it into your cells. And
right. Without that emotion, that won't happen.
It's sterile. It's
it's like a computer program without it.
Yeah. So if you give people numerous opportunities to connect, if you give them numerous opportunities to get beyond themselves, if you apply the science in a way that they can understand it and repeat it, they're beginning to install the circuitry in their brain in preparation for the experience. And more they understand what they're doing and why, the how gets easier. So if you've done it once and you can understand how you did it and you can reproduce it over time, you will neurochemically condition your mind and body to begin to work as one. In other words, your body will now know how to do it as well as your mind. Now, at that point, you're beginning to master that philosophy. It's becoming a state of being. So I try to keep it as pure as possible. And the other thing is, I think that the male brain tends to be more logical in that way. So we have a lot of men in our audience, and for me to get men to the edge a lot of times, they have to methodically understand. Women somehow intuitively know this, and they just trust a whole lot more. So men have to be led to the edge a lot of times, but that doesn't mean that women don't appreciate the science, because I think they do. I just think men need it to bridge the gap, right? So to me, we've done extensive brain scans. I now know people can change their brain in 1 hour. I've seen it. I know what a mystical experience looks like in the brain. I know how to induce it because we've studied it so much. I know when a person is in the midst of change, we can predict when it's happening. I know that people can begin to regulate emotional states and sustain them, that it can become a skill. We've seen gene changes in 4 days. We've seen immune regulation changes. We've seen telomere changes in 4 days and 60 days. That means you're lengthening your life.
And how do you measure the gene changes in 4 days?
So we did a randomized study with a group of people to measure 7,500 different gene regulations. And genes are like Christmas tree lights. They turn on and off all the time. When they regulate in a positive direction, or when they're stimulated properly, they upregulate and they make healthy proteins. And genes make proteins, and proteins are responsible for the structure and function of your body. And the expression of protein is the expression of life.
Is this epigenetics when they kind of turn on, or you can get them to turn on?
Yeah, it's the environment outside the cell. It's the information that's instructing and selecting the gene from outside the cell. Then if the information coming from the cell, say example is a stress hormone, the gene, the cell closes down and it downregulates, and it starts making a cheaper protein, or it doesn't make the expression of proteins properly. So my interest was, okay, we now know that genes do not create disease. Less than 2% of the people on the planet are born with type 1 diabetes or sickle cell anemia or Tay-Sachs disease. The other 99 to 98% is created by lifestyle. You can get two identical twins with the same genome. Why does one die at 57, the other one die at 85? Well, different environment, different perception of the environment, different behaviors, different choices. So then I wanted to see if people began to think differently, make different choices, do different things, create some new experiences, and feel and embrace different emotions. If that was new information coming into their nervous system, into the circulatory system, into their body, could we change the gene expression? Because we've witnessed people heal from cancer in a week. We've seen people with MS heal in a few days. We've seen people with Hashimoto's syndrome change, rare genetic disorders change. We've seen all kinds of things change. But you just can't leave it up to, oh, that just changed. You have to close the gap between knowledge and experience. So the gene expression would be the piece that would say, wow, there were some changes. So all we wanted them to do is to do those specific things of thoughts, choices, behaviors, experiences, and emotions. And the other thing is that most people live by the same feelings every single day. You know, people wake up in the morning and your brain is a record of the past. So you wake up and you start thinking about your problems, and your problems are connected to certain people and things at certain times and places. The moment you start activating those circuits of memories related to the past experience and the environment, you're thinking in the past. Because every person, every thing, every place has a neurological network in your brain because you've experienced it. The end product of an experience is an emotion. So when you start thinking about your problems, you start feeling the emotions associated with them. You start feeling unhappy. So your thoughts are the vocabulary of your brain. Your feelings are the vocabulary of your body. How you think and feel creates your state of being. So most people start their day, every single day, reaffirming their entire state of being in the familiar past.
Right.
Then they rush to the predictable future, right?
And this is probably 99.99% of humans in the world wake up
in doing that in unconscious and habitually. So then they go through the same routine behaviors that they've been doing for the last 5 years. In their habitat is reinforcing their habits, and they're going through a series of unconscious choices, behaviors, experiences, and emotions. And they do that for 10 years. They're on autopilot, and their body's dragging them into a predictable future based on what they did in the past, and they've, in a sense, lost their free will to a program. And if they can't think greater than how they feel, and feelings and emotions are a record of the past, or thinking in the past. Now, if you believe that your thoughts have something to do with your destiny,